Okay, there we go. Welcome everyone to another Code Platoon virtual info session. I'm your host, Greg Drobny. Joining me as always, Kayla Elkin. Thank you, Kayla, for making it easy. Welcome everybody. We try to keep these pretty casual. We're going to try to keep it to 30 minutes and answer all the basic questions. The basic goal here is to have a casual Q&A info session where we just kind of answer basic questions about Code Platoon. We'll probably start with some of the more common questions. I think Kayla has one that was already sent in to somebody, and then we'll open it up. You can come off camera. Corbin, it looks like you're already on camera, which is great. Or you can stay off camera, whatever. It's up to you, and you can type your questions in the chat or say them on microphone. So, Kayla, do you have a question for us to start things off, or are we just going to open it up?
Absolutely. So, first things first, I know I did invite a bunch of people who are in the Python intro classes that are happening right now. So, if you're one of those people, let us know in the chat just so we kind of know who you are, where you're coming from, and we can better answer your questions. If not, that is totally okay. But a common question, this is going to inspire a lot of different potential a long answer, I should say, but we'll try to keep it brief. But on a base level, how does Code Platoon help veterans get jobs in tech, Greg?
Oh, wow. We're getting right to the core of everything that Code Platoon is and what it does. So, a very, very brief history lesson. Rod Levy started Code Platoon. I think we're in our ninth year. And his goal really was to address veteran unemployment and do so specifically in the tech sector by using this boot camp model for software engineering. The idea is to kind of circumvent or maybe add on to the college experience, the university experience, and give people an immersive boot camp type experience into software engineering. These became popular, I don't know, about 15 years ago with the rising market understanding that colleges were not able to keep up with a lot of the changes in the tech industry. And similarly, they weren't providing things that were necessary. There's a lot of things in software engineering that have nothing to do with what goes on in college. And a coding boot camp can jumpstart your career into that particular field. So Rod Levy had the idea of starting one specifically for the veteran population. So it's important to have that as a context to answer that question because understand for everybody out there, Code Platoon's main goal is to launch your career. Unlike a university where the main goal really is education, which is not bad, it's not a bad thing per se, but their main goal is not necessarily to launch your career. Ours is. That's where we high five each other at the end of the day. That's the biggest data point we track is people starting their career, getting a job when they're done. So our entire curriculum is based around that, giving skills and tools to veterans who come to us and say, "Hey, I want to start a career in tech." Great. We're going to give you those skills that are necessary. And that's an all encompassing, not just the coding skills. We're going to go in depth into things like resume building, into interview prep. Oh, it looks like I might have frozen up.
You're
There we go.
back.
I think I'm back. Every aspect of job hunting, we're going to cover that. It's not just going to be turning you into a coding monkey. There's a lot more than that, right? It goes beyond that, beyond tech. We cover that. So job leads, job prospecting, interview skills, resume skills, all of that on top of those fundamental coding skills. And the things that we teach in the realm of coding are immediately relevant to the industry. If you Google most in-demand coding languages, you're always going to see JavaScript and Python. We teach exactly that. So we're teaching what is most relevant and most needed in the industry today, which is why some of our industry partners partner with us. They like that. They want to see that and they want to see veterans succeed. So that's the shortest answer I think can possibly be given. You're right. It could be a very, very long answer, but I'll leave it there.
Absolutely. We have an awesome career services team that works with every graduate to help them get a job. And we could definitely talk more in depth about that too if anyone has any questions. But in the interest of just, your time here, does anyone have any questions just off the bat that we can address?
Yeah, any questions at all? And like I said, you can feel free to type them in the chat. You can come off mute and ask them. Totally up to you. This is a casual thing. No? Nothing? Nothing at all. Oh, wait, Corbin,
Oh,
I think Corbin's got one, maybe. Or Andy? Yeah, anybody. Go ahead.
I'll start off. Hey, my name is Andy. My name is kind of weirdly AINDI, but you can call me Andy. I just had one question, and I know I went point to point with you, Greg. For for the recent change for the skill bridge and with the categories that were added, I only have 90 days on me, right? And I'm allowed to do 90 days, and I was wondering, like, um, my approval chain is perfectly fine with me doing this whole thing. I was just wondering, have you noticed anywhere like in the conversations, maybe updates that you were doing for the SkillBridge stuff that are there any issues with that? How do people go around this whole obstacle now?
Sure. Yeah, thanks. That's a good question. And SkillBridge is really somewhat of a complex issue for a number of reasons, largely because DoD has made changes that sometimes confuse things. But here's the bottom line. Here's the ultimate bottom line with all things SkillBridge and CSP. If you're Army, it's Career Skills Program, Career Services Program. I don't ever remember. The Army has to be different. I love my Army, but we got to be different. So the bottom line, the single bottom line is what will your command approve? Because it is their purview. It is up to your command to say yes or no. So at the end of the day, on our side of things, and I think this is kind of what I told you via email, but it's good to get this out to everybody else. At the end of the day, all I need on the Code Platoon side is a command signature saying this person can attend from this date to this date. That really is what matters. And sometimes, and I'm not going to say this is all the time, but there are some times when those numbers aren't exact with what DoD says they can do. There might be a little bit of difference, but ultimately on our side, we just need that command approval. Now, on the command side, where this has gotten tricky, and I'll be upfront and say this, for anybody who doesn't know, the U.S. military is facing a recruiting shortage. Nowhere is that seen more prevalent in the than in the U.S. Army. And what we're seeing is a lot of denials because commands don't have the personnel. They have a personnel shortage, so they're not allowing people to do this at all. We just had somebody got denied about 2 or 3 days ago who was approved. They got through the application process. They were ready to go, and their command said, no, can't do it. And it was purely on this personnel shortage thing. This is unfortunate, but it's also a reality, and it is the command's purview to do that. So to basically the bottom line that I recommend everybody in this position to work around this is just work with your command and make sure this is okay. If you're in good standing with your command and you have a good relationship with somebody there, then make sure it's doable. First have that casual conversation of saying, hey, here's what I want to do. Can I make this work? On the Code Platoon side, we can make it work most likely. Whether that's you starting a little bit before your window or extending on past into the civilian realm, we're still going to work with you. We're still going to make it work. We're pretty flexible in that regard. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you bet. Corbin, I think you had a question too, right?
So I'm in the same boat as Andy, and if it helps him, what I'm doing is what we're working with my command is my window starts in November, but my cohort starts in October. So I'm just going to take leave 20 days before to cover that 110 days versus 90-day window. So if you
Yeah,
can work
and
it out with a command like that.
we've seen people do exactly that in the past, and that's, you kind of got to work with that because, and I think I've told both of you separately, maybe in email form or something, the one of the, being upfront and transparent, one of the downsides of Code Platoon is that we're a small school. We can only offer so many cohorts per year. By nature of the way the SkillBridge windows work, we're going to have people that just don't line up with those, times. And I think you kind of fall into exactly that position where it's like, it's not perfect. work with it, we'll make it work. So yeah, you just got to do what works. And we're, like I said, we're flexible. If you start before that 90 or that 180 days or 90 days or whatever, that's perfectly fine on our end. We're not going to turn you away. We'll work with you as long as your command is good with it. You understand what's going on. We can make that work.
Oh, my question is, for my, like, the legal part of getting my CSP approved, I'm gonna have a memo stating my command. The memo is gonna say I'm approved from November to the end of the cohort, but I'm actually going to be approved for my leave. Would you want like a separate memo stating that I'm approved from this day to that day, or a leave form? And that, how would you want that when on your end?
Yeah, I think that would be probably the best thing because really we just need something that documents. It doesn't have to be fancy. We just need something that documents, that you're authorized to do this. If you can put that in all into one memo. Now, since you're taking leave, I understand that's a little bit complicated. So you might need two, but really on our side, it's not going to matter that much. And here's why. All we need is something that if DoD SkillBridge comes to us and says, did you have authorization to let Corbin attend? We can provide something that says, yes, we do. And that's really, and I say that because believe it or not, they're right now, and here's an open secret in the DoD SkillBridge world, just to let everybody here know, this is kind of one of these open secrets. DoD SkillBridge has no means for actually doing this. So this is all hypothetical. Like everybody who's a SkillBridge provider right now is like, what, we're kind of figuring this out because DoD SkillBridge has absolutely no mechanism for following up to check to make sure that Corbin Weaver actually has authorization. Theoretically, they could, right? But as of right now, they don't. And so, right, it's literally just a document of some kind from your command saying, yes. That's really all we need. And beyond that, I just want you to have what you need for your command to say, yes, we will authorize this person. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so the form you filled out on my side is all I need, but I can get an MFR for you stating that I'm like approved to take the class.
That'd be perfect.
Yep. And then so the next one is with finances. I went back like to see if I could answer some of my questions in some of your previous YouTube videos. And the active duty scholarship, I kind of was wondering if you could touch on that a little bit.
Yeah. So for those unaware, Code Platoon has a lot of scholarships that fit every demographic who comes to Code Platoon. One of them is a scholarship for active duty people. Obviously, the only active duty people who are going to be attending are SkillBridge. Now, here's where this is kind of a tricky area. So I'm going to ask you to put on your military mind and know that I'm kind of stomping my foot and doing the head nod thing. And I think everyone will track with what I'm about to say. We can't guarantee you a scholarship, right? I can't guarantee that you will get a scholarship. However, what I can tell you is there's a very, very good chance you'll get a scholarship. Here's the head nod and foot stomp thing. There's a very good chance you'll get a scholarship if you are accepted to Code Platoon. And as per DoD regs with SkillBridge, we can't charge you. So what does that tell you about scholarships at Code Platoon? And you see what I'm saying? Like there are certain compliance regulations. We can't guarantee you a scholarship, but I can also tell you that if you are a SkillBridge student, technically speaking, we can't charge you because DoD doesn't allow us to be a SkillBridge provider and charge you money. Okay. So if you're accepted to Code Platoon, don't worry about it. We got you.
All right. That was like the last issue I had for my commander approve is that little head nod I needed.
Yeah. And that's where, like I said, it's tricky because we can't say here as a nonprofit, certain regulatory things, we can't be like, no, we guarantee you a scholarship. There's a really, really good chance you're going to get a full coverage scholarship.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You bet.
Awesome. Just in the interest of time, with the question we got from Brian in chat, since I know you have class starting in 15 minutes, that Intro Python course, just want to make sure we get to that and don't delay you there. You were having some trouble being prepared to follow the class. You were having some trouble with Slack access. I did send your name and email address that we have on file for you directly to the person at Code Platoon who manages our Slack account to add you to the particular channels, since said you were having trouble with the link. So as soon as he sees that, that's just a couple of clicks on his end. So I think you'll be getting access to that very soon. Um,
So one of the things that it asked me, it had the Code Platoon URL
mhm.
on it, and I didn't have any information on that login.
Okay.
Brian, are you on Slack at all? Like,
Well, so I was on Slack for another action, but it was saying that I couldn't get connected to that because it was saying I needed a Code Platoon connection.
yeah. So what happens when and there's no way around this, unfortunately, you have to be invited and added. So when you follow the links, it will tell you things like you have to have a Code Platoon domain or something like that.
Right.
You don't. But for some reason, when we generate a link, it will tell you that as a default, and we can't get around it. So the only solution is to have the instructor who is managing that channel have him add you manually. So what he'll
Okay.
have to do is find you on Slack and just put you in there. So I can send you an invite to Slack. I have the authority to do that. But if you're already on Slack, it's not going to let me because you're already there.
Gotcha.
See what I'm saying? So you have to be an admin of whatever channel you're getting added to. So it will have to be, I think, Kayla, there's a channel for this class, right? The intro class.
Yeah, I reached out to the instructor to add Brian to it, but
Okay, good.
I confess I'm not 100% sure on how Slack works. Is that going to work, you think, Greg?
Yes. So
Okay.
if Roger adds him, it will work just fine. I'm not even on that channel. So I can't like there's I would add you right now if I were on that channel. I'm not on it. So
Right.
Roger has to be the one who adds you. So as soon as he gets that message from Kayla, he should be able to just put you on there.
Gotcha.
Greg,
Okay.
I can add you. I'm on that channel. Like, I don't have the authority to add. Hold on. Brian's here already? And Brian.
There's a weird thing about Slack that you might actually have to do it through the browser instead of the app. I know it doesn't make
Interesting. Okay.
any sense, but Guillermo's the one who showed that to me.
Okay.
Okay.
Because you have to find him. You have to find Brian McCoy under his email and whatever, and then add him to that channel. Slack is super easy if you've never been on it. It's one of those things where when people come to us and they're like, "Hey, how do I get on Slack?" It takes me like 4 seconds to add you and I can put you on Slack. But when people come to us and they're already on Slack for something different, Slack makes it way more complicated than it should be. So I leave that to the instructors who actually manage those channels just because it's stupid complicated for something that shouldn't be. You know what I mean?
Right.
It shouldn't be that hard. But here we are.
And then
Awesome. I'm logging into Slack on desktop to see if I can add Brian and just
Did you have another question, Brian?
make it there.
I
Yeah.
wasn't sure. I mean, there was reference when I was in the class. I guess we should have done some read up, and I just didn't have any communication to that effect of in preparing for the class. Because believe me, when I got to the class, they were moving through very quickly, and there was no way I was going to be able to follow.
I'm going to send you, so right now I'm going to send you or put in the chat something that is a very useful additional tool to what they're doing. Just had to find it. So we are And for everybody, for reference, what I just put in the chat is a free Python class that you can actually do exercises on. We're in the middle of revamping our intro to coding to be something similar to what I just put in there. We have a JavaScript version of that, but we're trying to make a Python version. We just don't have it fully flushed out yet for the intro material. That one right there is a free self-paced class that one of the instructors gave me a while back. It's excellent. It's a very good resource. Again, completely free, self-paced. You can start working on that, and it's going to be very similar to what they're doing in the class. They're going to be talking about the exact same things, except you can read it and follow along. And then also there's the YouTube videos. The classes that we're doing, the intro classes, are all put up on YouTube. So don't forget about the playlist. Kayla, do you have that?
I got it.
Okay. Kayla's going to share that as well. Because the playlist is going to be invaluable for following along with the class, because you can always go back and reference that as you go. Everything we do, for the record, just about everything, I think, is put up on YouTube. So all of our classes, all of these info sessions, the intro calls, all of this is put up on YouTube. We're a firm believer in transparency and sharing information, because it's not, we're not going to tell you that we're reinventing the wheel here. We're teaching these things that are out there. We're just doing it at a higher level, right?
This will probably help a lot, because I'm looking at, I mean, to be able to stay on course with when they were going through everything, there was just too many things that were unknown, and I wasn't connected, so I wasn't able to listen. So
yeah.
I totally understand. I'm really sorry that happened for you. For the record, this is our first time running it like this, so there's a lot of learnings on our end as well. So I'm definitely taking your feedback into account.
Well, I'm going
Were
to
you
try
having?
the asynchronous and see if,
Absolutely. Try the asynchronous. Were you having issues with getting the GitHub working, or was it more kind of the concepts that were the issue, or both?
I eventually got through the GitHub piece after there were several iterations, and he explained some of the things that when you went and did it, nothing happened.
Okay.
So he went through that one more time, and then I was able to get to it. So, but that was
Awesome.
that was the whole class, where it's like, okay, one catch up after another. So that first class I didn't get much out of, because it was just this, but I'm going to do the asynchronous and see if that helps.
I think it will.
Definitely try that. I think that will be a good resource for you for sure.
Okay, thanks.
And thanks again for letting us know that you had that issue. That's really good feedback for us to have as we refine moving forward.
No problem.
Any other questions? Yes,
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Yes, in regards to the VA, going through VA benefits, can you touch upon that?
Yeah, so we've got a couple of options for VA benefits right now. And when I say right now, that's a key term, because these things are evolving and changing like by the minute. So we have two options right now, which is the GI Bill and also VR&E, which used to be called VOC Rehab. It's now Veteran Readiness and Employment. So first, GI Bill. You may have heard you can't use the GI Bill for a tech school like ours to attend remotely. That was true up until the very end of last year. Up until, I think that changed in December. And the way it changed is that now Code Platoon falls under certificate program, which means that it's going to work a little bit different than the normal GI Bill, but you still can use it to attend. And when I say work a little bit different, what I mean is that right now, the way the post 9/11 GI Bill works is that if you were to attend a university, they pay the university and then they give you a living stipend. If you attend a certificate program like Code Platoon, they're just going to give you the money, and then you have to reimburse Code Platoon. So it's like a reversal of the way they've done things, because that's how the Montgomery GI Bill used to work for us older guys who did that 20 plus years ago. They would pay us, the person, and then we would have to pay out of that money to the school. That's how they're doing it for certificate programs if you are remote. If you're in person, it works more like the standard post 9/11 GI Bill. So that's option number one for GI Bill. Option number two is VR&E. Like I said, that is based on disability rating. Now, the threshold for disability rating is technically low. And when I say technically, I mean on the website, on the VA website, it will tell you that the threshold is like 10%. What I'm going to tell you is that in practicality, the way it's applied, it might be a little bit higher because it's up to an individual counselor purview, right? It's the individual counselor you get assigned to, and you have to map out a plan. Now, if you can get VR&E, if you have a disability rating and you can make the case of why you need VR&E, it's a great, great program. It's a fantastic way to go through Code Platoon. They'll pay the tuition, they'll give you a living stipend, they'll buy you a laptop, and they'll continue helping you even after you've graduated Code Platoon. It's a fantastic resource. It just takes a lot longer to get because it means you have to go meet with a counselor. You can do it remotely, but when I say go and meet, I just mean you have to get that scheduled. You have to go through that process, and it's not a given. It's not an entitlement like GI Bill where you have it. It's something you have to make a case for. Finally, some of you may have heard about Vet Tech. Now, for several years, there was this program called Vet Tech, and it was a program at the VA that ran through the GI Bill that was specifically designed for schools like ours. That was a pilot program. It ran for 5 years. It stopped. It came to an end. Just at the end of the Biden presidency, he signed into law a bill that Congress passed for a new Vet Tech. That is being implemented as we speak. This is what I meant by things changing by the minute. Unfortunately, and why they did this, I don't know, but the VA required that even providers who were authorized vet tech providers before, like Code Platoon, we were a fully authorized, in good standing provider, we have to reapply. Everybody had to reapply for this new vet tech program. Well, guess what that means? That means that nobody has it right now, and so nobody knows actually how it's going to work. Theoretically, vet tech should be implemented this year. We have yet to see that actually happen because we're in the application process and waiting to find out. Most likely, and here's my best guess, is that it will be fiscal year, which is October 1st, will probably be when this new vet tech bill is finally implemented, put into practice. We have to wait for that to actually happen before we see how this actually functions. Ideally, you can use it to go through a school like Code Platoon. Great, that's awesome. But as of right now, it's in this holding pattern of everyone needing to reapply. So it will be an option in the future. It's just not an option right now. So for right now, GI Bill with those caveats and then VR&E are the main VA benefits.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, Greg. Just one more thing.
Yeah.
So I have about maybe a 35% disability rating, and I am trying to get into the Avenger platoon. What would you recommend? Do you think I would have enough time to go through the VR&E before the Avenger platoon, or should I just go through the GI Bill?
You can try. There's no harm in trying. And the cool thing about VR&E is that it actually does work retroactively. So, and we'll work with you on that. Right now, what you should do as soon as this call is over, which we only have about a minute left, because our program has to use this channel for other classes. So
They actually got in and are okay, so we can go
we are.
longer. We can go as long as y'all need.
Good.
Just
Okay.
so you know.
I'm actually supposed to be in that class.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Cool. So right now, Google VA VR&E, and it should take you to the VA's page on that. If you're already on the VA in the VA system and you have your login, apply for that right now. The longest piece of that process is going to be getting a counselor assigned, but you can start it all online. You don't need to go into the VA. You can start that whole thing right now. It's going to take a few weeks before you get a counselor. I would suggest doing that right now. Like go on there and fill that out. It shouldn't take you too long. And then in a few weeks, you'll find out if they are at least going to move you forward. They won't approve you officially, but they'll at least let you know whether or not you have a chance, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Devin just said it took about 60 days before I was contacted by my VR&E rep. Yeah, so it depends somewhat on where you are. What I've seen is that certain areas of the country take much longer than others. So like those folks in Washington, D.C. area inevitably have to wait longer than someone like me in Colorado. It took me like 3.5 weeks before they assigned a counselor to me, which is great. But people in those highly populous, veteran centric areas like DC, it's going to take longer. What each specific area is kind of dependent on how many VR&E counselors they have available. So just be aware that it could be anywhere from 3 to 6 to maybe even 7 or 8 weeks. So,
Okay.
but
Okay.
again, they will, and I didn't know this until recently, they will pay retroactively. We had a student go through last year who he was in the process of getting approved for VR&E while he was at Code Platoon. So our enrollment coordinator worked with him and made sure that it was all squared away, but they didn't pay us until after he was done with the program. So to answer your question with the simplest answer possible, yes, it is possible to get it. I would just start that process now and then continue on with Code Platoon because there's nothing you can do about the VR&E process once you've submitted that application.
Okay. Okay. And then just to confirm on the GI Bill option, the way that works is the VA pays me, and then I would have to pay you guys personally.
Yes.
Okay.
That is correct. And Tish will explain it once you get to that point, if that's the option you choose to go with. Tish will explain how all of that works. And yeah, it's like I said, I don't know why the VA did this, but it's better than where we were a year ago, because a year ago, if you were to attend remotely, you couldn't use the GI Bill at all. The only way you could use regular GI Bill is if you were in person. That's what vet tech was for. Well, finally, at least you can use the GI Bill for attending remotely. So it's an option. They just made it happen a little bit weird. So, but she'll explain all of that to you once you get to that point.
Okay. So I do actually reside within Chicago.
Oh,
I was looking at. I was trying to look for the options to do the course in person. But I
okay.
didn't like. I think I was trying to go for the more sooner the course that would be like upcoming, the
Yeah.
upcoming
Mhm.
cohort. And I just wanted to knock it out as soon as possible because I am planning on moving to Georgia pretty soon. But my question was, would it be easier for me to take an in person course? And would you guys happen to have any in person courses available coming up?
Yeah, so the Avenger platoon that you were talking about has the in-person option. Our immersive program is the only one that has the in-person option. So
Okay.
you can do either. The advantage to that is if you're already in Chicago, you're going to get a lot more BAH. Well, I take that back. Yeah, you would. You would get a lot more BAH using a GI Bill. So that's the advantage. So if you can swing it, we highly encourage you to do so because you're going to be in the same program. If you're an Avenger platoon, there will be probably 3/4 of the students remote and a quarter of you will be in the classroom. So yeah, it's the same program, same people, same thing, just that we have a classroom in downtown Chicago.
Okay. And would we be talking about that during the guided application courses or?
I don't know that they'll talk much about that. I mean, it kind of is up to you whether or not you want to attend in person. Because if you do, we'd love to have you. Kayla can tell you more about being down in the city of Chicago than I'm in Colorado. She's in Chicago.
Okay.
I can't tell you much. I've been to Chicago twice now.
Yeah, I was born and raised here.
Okay, fantastic. Well, you know more about it than I do. So you're already there, which is great. We're in a WeWork floor. It's right across the street from the JP Morgan Chase big
Oh, okay,
building.
okay. Yeah, I used to work around there actually. Right there
Okay.
on Madison. Oh,
Yeah,
well,
we're on
okay.
Madison and
Okay.
Dearborn. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I want to make sure that we don't delay you too much from your class. But We do offer, we don't do this super often. It's really more on request, but like you could come visit the classroom while you're in the application phase if you want to see if that would be a good option for you. I'd be happy. I'm also in Chicago. I'd be happy to like set that up for you.
Okay, yeah, sure. And then yeah, I would love to do that. I'm actually leaning more towards the in-person because I feel like I would be more immersed into the material if I was in person. So yeah, if you could just tell me like how I would go about that because I applied for the Venture Tune already. I just don't know how I would go about picking between remotely or in-person classroom.
Absolutely. I'll take down that you're interested and I'll follow up with you so that that you're able to get to your class
Okay.
relatively on time. I'll
Okay.
follow up with you by email after this and we can
Okay.
set that up. Do note that the because of the timings of courses, there might not be students like in the classroom when you visit because we are kind of between them
Hmm.
at the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
But I could try to get an instructor there too. We can talk about it, see what the best fit is for you.
For sure. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you bet. All right. What other questions we have? Any at all?
Okay, well, thank you, Greg and Kayla. I'm gonna try to get to the class before I miss too much.
Yeah, have a good one, Brian.
Appreciate it.
Hey guys, just one more question
Yeah.
before I step off to the class as well. What are the challenges that the students typically have to overcome through the course? Is it something that they would personally have to like on their own time, kind of get ahead of the game? Anything you could share?
I'd say I've been here almost 5.5 years now at Code Platoon, and I think the single most common thing that students struggle with is what we call imposter syndrome. Is getting, especially at the beginning of the program, is a belief that you don't belong here, right? Because what you're doing at Code Platoon and software engineering in general is it's weird, man. Right? It's this whole new world of building virtual things. You're building, and from the military, like I don't know what you did in the military, but for me, like I was an airborne infantryman and then I was a PSYOP guy, like coming in and building some virtual thing, like it's radically different than what you have been doing. And so there's a piece of you that wants to say, I have no idea what I'm doing, right? I am lost. I'm clueless. This is all just foreign to me. And that gets in people's heads a lot to the point where we've seen people drop out before the program starts because they just don't think that they belong there. But it's just like anything else in the military. Just keep going, right? Just keep doing it and keep engaging. When we talk about career services at the end, they'll tell you, career services will tell you the single biggest reason why people don't get jobs at the end is because they disappear. Really, it's that simple, right? If you ask Rich and Catherine, you say, what's the biggest reason why people don't get jobs after Code Platoon? It's because they vanish. They get through Code Platoon and then they just stop engaging, they stop talking with career services, and they stop following. So I would say, the biggest challenge is this belief that, I just don't know, and kind of a lack of confidence thing. But it's the people who just keep going, keep at it every day, every day, every day. Again, it's just like the military, right? How many things did we all do in the military that was just like put that foot in front of the other one and just keep going? So I would say the biggest thing is just to keep at it every day. Don't stop pushing forward, and believing that those feelings you're having, those thoughts you're having of doubt, however much you have doubt about whether or not you can do this, everybody who's been through here has had those. And you just have to keep doing and engaging with the material. And eventually, and this is what keeps software engineers being software engineers, is that they bang their head against the desk about 8 times a day. And then they have those moments of it clicks. And that's what keeps them coming back, right? They all tell me the same thing. They're like, yeah, those moments where it all clicks and you're like, yes, I got it. And that keeps them coming back for more and more and more. So just keep pushing forward for those, because you're not alone if you are struggling with this and thinking, man, this is so foreign and so different. Yeah, it is. It really is. But everybody has been in that same position. So I would say that's the most common struggle. I don't know if Kayla has any different thoughts than that, but that's my take.
Absolutely. I would say that's definitely the main one that I've seen as well. The imposter syndrome is real and it affects everyone to some degree. As you're starting to learn a new skill, learning coding is a lot like learning a foreign language. So that initial kind of frustration and not being able to communicate the way you want to is pretty normal, but something that you just overcome by continual effort and getting better at it as you go.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, thank you. I myself was MI and PsyOps, so I have a similar background. So this is also somewhat of a different path that I'm taking, completely like 180 from my 8 years
Yes.
of experience.
Absolutely. You will
I
not
just
be
put
the
in
only one
oh, go ahead.
who feels that way. Just, I would say the vast majority of our students come from MOSs that have absolutely nothing to do with tech. And that is completely normal, and they all do great in the end.
I just put in the chat, I just put an article that I wrote a couple years ago on this very subject. So definitely check that out. Because yeah, it's something that we've talked about a lot here. Like Kayla said, it's a foreign language and you just have to jump in, and at some level, it's just like if you go to a different culture, if you were a PSYOP person, one of the biggest things is to understand the culture into which you're speaking, right? That's the foundational premise of PSYOP. And the only way to really do that is to be in it, right? I remember getting classes before I went to Iraq. You get a class, like a 4 hour long class on Arabic culture, and you're like, what the hell is this? Because it's a waste until you get there and you're immersed in it. And then you're like, okay, now I'm actually learning the culture and understanding, because you're not going to get it from an intro class. You have to jump in and actually do it. So that's the same case here, right? You got to jump in and just start really plucking away at it like a language. You got to start speaking it at some point, right? And the more you do that, the more comfortable you'll get. And I think that's the biggest reason why people struggle, is because that part psychs them out, that first jumping into it and believing that they can do it. So once you cross that hurdle and start just continuing forward, I think it makes a whole lot more sense. Any other questions?
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. Just trust the process. Got it.
Yeah, yeah. Any other
Hey, Greg,
questions?
another question. So, me being in Japan, and like I won't be able to do the after work classes, because when you guys start the after work classes, my work starts.
Mm.
So I was wondering if I'll still be able to get to where I need to get for like the start line, just through the free stuff you did in the YouTube video, the free link you sent, like YouTube videos. Like, is that? I know it's gonna take more discipline, but will I be okay when it starts?
Short answer is yes. The longer answer is that that's what Code Platoon did for the first several years of its existence. So most of the graduates, in fact, all of the people who graduated Code Platoon for the first several years, they didn't even have an intro to coding or a live class to prep them, because we didn't start doing that until, goodness, I think Kayla had come, like you had come on board when we started really doing that. Most of the graduates before 2022 never even had access to what this is. So yes, absolutely. Most people who came to Code Platoon did the self-paced, did it on their own. They learned the intro material enough to get through the application and start the program. That was the norm up until just a couple of years ago.
You don't think there's gonna be any issue with me taking the whole course in Japan, other than my own discipline, waking up like and adjusting my sleep schedule?
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you it's gonna be easy. But I will also tell you that you won't be the first.
Okay.
We've had people do that before. And there haven't been a lot, but I'd say there have been, I don't know, probably 5 to 10 people who have done from Asia, from Europe. I know a couple from Europe. at least one or two from Japan. So it's been done before. It's been successfully done. Again, I'm not going to tell you it's going to be easy because yeah, it's a whole different schedule shift, right? And you're preparing for that. And as long as you know that going in, it's doable. It can be done.
Right. Thank you for taking your time to answer my questions.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, Greg's completely right. I would say about 5 people from Japan that I can think of off the top of my head. They all made it through. You in your cohort may be the only one not in the US, but I think we usually have at least one person in Hawaii. I know that's still the US, but like a similar, not quite as drastic time chunk. So like folks do it. It's,
Yeah.
you know.
But yeah, like you said, it's good that we're figuring this out, and that way we can maybe handle it a little bit better next time.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Alex is good. Corbin, you said you were good, I think, earlier. So I guess we're all good here. Thank you to the two of
Yeah,
you
I'm
who are
good.
still here.
Thanks for taking your time to answer my questions.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, good. Yeah, good to see all of you. And thanks for joining us on this super cool version of virtual info session, edition, version. I don't know, whatever you call it.
Session. I don't know. Yeah. Thank you for joining.
Episode.
This was recorded, but I'll probably go in and like cut out the last chunk so we're not like saying people's full names in the
That's
recording
good.
when we post it to YouTube. But the recording will be on YouTube in a couple of days. So if you need to refer back to anything, especially the like VA benefits advice or anything we gave earlier, that will be available to you.
Yes, indeed. And don't hesitate to email me, everybody, if you need to. Greg@codeplatoon.org. Email me with questions. Cool.
Absolutely. We are always happy to help. Thank you both again. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks all.